Spoiled woman insists I let her skip the line, by user quick_net5703. In New York City nightlife, bouncers at large bars are usually black men. Fitting that demographic, drunk strangers somewhat frequently assume I am security. Usually it's somewhat funny, like people handing me their ID if I am anywhere near the door or asking where the bathroom is while I am clearly dancing with friends. One evening in my early 20s, I was on the Lower East Side chatting with friends while waiting in a long line for a popular bar. A woman in her late 20s who I had never met walks up from the street, interrupts our conversation, and states, "You're the bouncer who said I could skip the line." "No, that wasn't me," I respond politely while trying to turn back to my friends. "We were nowhere near the front." "Yes, it was you. You said I could skip the line," she insists, drawing the attention of others in line. Uncharacteristically, I snap back, "It wasn't me, so get to the back of the line." The small crowd within earshot stifles their laughs as the lady slinks to the back of the line around the block. "No, I won't arrange your furniture delivery or book your hotel room," by user Imamler. When I was 13, on occasion we would get wrong number phone calls from people trying to reach a certain department store to arrange delivery of large items. We'd say they had the wrong number, and that was the end of the call. But one woman argued with me and absolutely insisted that I was the store employee and I needed to get her sofa to her. She would not be convinced otherwise. I hung up and she didn't call again. Years later, when I was a young adult, we'd get calls expecting us to be the nearby hotel. We'd tell them they had the wrong number. There were a lot of these calls. We contacted the hotel and told them they'd made a mistake and published our number in error somewhere. They insisted there was nothing they could do to fix this. The calls mysteriously stopped after my roommate started asking for CC numbers, he didn't write them down, and giving out bogus reservation numbers. It wasn't nice, but it worked. Just happened to the wife, by user no_university_8161. Stopped at DG for a cake mix and eggs because, reasons. The first 4 cartons of eggs that the wife checked had broken eggs. She found an undamaged dozen and went to cash out. Mentioned to the cashier what she had encountered and the lady proceeded to ask her if she separated them out. Wife said no. Then asked the wife why she didn't bring them to her. Wife said, and I quote, "I don't work here, lady." LOL. Swear to God the lady let out the biggest sigh I've ever heard in my life. Employee wanted my name to compliment me to our manager, by user obsessive about cats. This is a bit of an inversion than the usual but a light-hearted and funny one. I was at my local grocery store really early one morning. Not a lot of customers were there yet. I was minding my own business, trying to efficiently get my stuff and leave, when I notice a really short employee, about my age, on her tippy toes trying to reach some stuff from the very back of a high, for her, shelf. She had a big curbside cart next to her. As a tall woman I am used to paying the tall person tax, so I offered help. She told me how many of the things she needed, I handed them to her. She said thanks and that was, I thought, that. As I turned to continue shopping she said wait. What's your name? Very confused, I answered her and then asked why. She was going to tell management how helpful I had been. I just blinked at her, looked down at my very obviously not an employee uniform outfit, then back up at her. The light dawned before I could think of a polite response and she promptly apologized. We both laughed and agreed we needed more caffeine and continued about our days. No, I am not a prosecutor, by user Tsenridge. Many moons ago when I was a young attorney, I needed to go to court to defend a family member in a minor traffic matter. I was going to the gym a lot, had a very short haircut, was dressed in 3-piece suit, and carrying a red weld document folder. I walked through the security foyer for the courthouse, fast because all I had that mattered was my phone, and looked around for some indication of which room I needed to go to. A group of similarly dressed men almost immediately flagged me and one called out over here. I walked over to the elevator they were gathered at and holding for me. The same guy said, "I got us," held his badge up to a receiver on the button panel, pressed a floor, and off we went. When we got off, I realized where we were. We were in the prosecutor's office behind the separate security for it. With some apprehension, I walked up, behind, the front desk and said something like, "Excuse me, I think got on the wrong elevator. Where is traffic court, please?" The big older woman at the desk laughed and said, and her words are burned in my mind, "Oh honey. You sure look like you're one of ours. Go out this door, turn left and it is the big double doors on the right." I still laugh about her reaction to this day. Today I'm sure it would be a huge problem and I'd get arrested.